Right now, as you were watching this, the most devastating winter storm in 12 years is barreling toward 30 American states. And the worst part? The forecast just got significantly worse in the last 6 hours. 3/4 of an inch of ice. That's what meteorologists are now predicting for parts of the South. If you've never experienced an ice storm, let me put this in perspective. 1/4 inch of ice can snap power lines. 1/2 inch can bring down trees. 3/4 of an inch? That hasn't happened since 1994. And back then, some families went without power for 2 weeks. But here's what nobody's talking about yet, and you need to hear this in the next 30 seconds. This storm isn't just bringing ice, it's bringing a 1-2 punch that emergency management officials are calling unprecedented. First comes the ice storm that could leave millions without power. Then, immediately behind it, temperatures are dropping to near 0 degrees Fahrenheit and staying there for 5 to 7 days. No power, no heat, 0 degrees for nearly a week. Where do you live? Drop your city or state in the comments right now, because in the next few minutes I am going to give you specific forecasts for 30 major states, and you need to know exactly what is heading your way. Some of you watching this will see 2 feet of snow. Others will face that catastrophic ice. And a few lucky areas might dodge the worst of it entirely. But you want to know unless you stay with me through this entire breakdown. Here's what makes this different from every other winter storm you've seen. This isn't just a weather event. According to the National Blend of Models, we're looking at the largest winter storm to impact the eastern United States since 2014. That storm left 4.2 million people without power. This one? It could be worse. Let me show you exactly how this unfolds, hour by hour, because timing is everything. Friday afternoon, January 23rd. Right now, the storm is just a small system over the southern plains. Nothing impressive yet. But by midnight tonight, everything changes. The system rapidly intensifies over Oklahoma and Texas. Meteorologists call this explosive cyclogenesis. You might know it by another name, a weather bomb. Saturday morning, 7 a.m. Dallas wakes up to cold rain that's already starting to freeze on contact. Oklahoma City sees heavy snow beginning to fall. And here's the critical detail most forecasts aren't telling you. This isn't going to be a few hours of bad weather. This is going to last 36 to 48 hours in some locations. By Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m., the enhanced risk area stretches from Dallas through Little Rock to Memphis. Enhanced risk. That is the National Weather Service's way of saying, if you're not prepared by now, you are in serious trouble. And at 3 p.m. Saturday, Nashville starts seeing what forecasters are calling training freezing rain. That means wave after wave of freezing rain, hour after hour, with no break. Saturday evening, 7 p.m. This is when the ice accumulation becomes catastrophic. Memphis is experiencing heavy ice accumulation. Nashville has been under freezing rain for 6 hours straight. Little Rock is completely paralyzed, and the storm is only halfway through. But wait, there's a twist nobody saw coming until the latest model run. Sunday morning, 1 a.m. While the South is still battling ice, the storm explodes northward with unexpected intensity. Louisville, Kentucky gets hit with heavy snow. Cincinnati sees snowfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour. And here's the shocking part. The European model is now showing that Indianapolis, which was supposed to get 6 to 8 inches, might see 12 to 15 inches instead. Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. Now we are talking about the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Washington, D.C. is getting absolutely hammered with heavy snow. The latest forecast? 15 inches, but some models are showing 19 to 20 inches. Philadelphia is in the same boat. And New York City, the National Blend of Models just increased their forecast to 20 inches of snow. 20 inches in New York City. When's the last time that happened? Sunday night, 7 p.m. to Monday morning, 1 a.m. This is when New England gets crushed. Boston is looking at 22 inches of snow according to current forecasts. Hartford, Connecticut could see 24 inches. And the coastal low-pressure system intensifies so much that some areas of Massachusetts might see thundersnow. Yes, thunderstorms while it's snowing. That's how much energy this system has. Monday evening, the storm finally moves offshore, but the damage is done. And now comes the second punch I mentioned earlier. Behind this storm, Arctic air is flooding south. We are talking about wind chills reaching -20 to -30 degrees Fahrenheit across the Ohio Valley. Actual air temperatures near zero from St. Louis to Louisville to Cincinnati. And this cold air isn't leaving. The forecast models are showing below average temperatures for at least 10 days after this storm passes. Now let me break down what this means for your specific state, because this is the promise I made you at the beginning. I'm going to go through 30 major states, and I need you to pay close attention when I get to yours. Texas. Let's start in the Lone Star State. Dallas is looking at 2 inches of snow, but that is not the problem. The problem is the ice. Current forecasts show 1/3 to half an inch of ice accumulation in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. That's enough to cause widespread power outages. Houston stays mostly rain, but the northern suburbs could see some ice. San Antonio dodges the worst of it. Austin sees cold rain with maybe some sleet mixing in, but North Texas, from Wichita Falls through Texarkana, you re in the bullseye. 3 to 6 inches of snow covered in ice. Oklahoma City is looking at 6 to 9 inches of snow with some ice mixing in. Tulsa could see 8 to 10 inches of snow. But here's what's concerning: the ice-to-snow ratio. Areas south of Interstate 40 are going to see more ice than snow. Norman, you are right on that line. Could go either way. And the Choctaw Nation area of southeastern Oklahoma, you re in that enhanced risk zone I mentioned earlier. 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice is possible. Arkansas, Little Rock is in a tough spot. You are in that transition zone where it starts as snow, maybe 4 inches accumulates, then it turns to sleet, then freezing rain. But Jonesboro, you are far enough north that you should see 7 to 8 inches of snow. Fort Smith sees mostly snow, maybe 5 to 6 inches. But central Arkansas, from Hot Springs through Pine Bluff to Stuttgart, you are looking at significant ice. Plan for power outages lasting multiple days. Louisiana. Most of Louisiana stays too warm for winter precipitation, but northern Louisiana is a completely different story. Monroe, Ruston, Shreveport, you are in serious trouble. This could be the worst ice storm your area has seen since 1994. 3/4 of an inch to potentially 1 full inch of ice. If you lived through 94, you know what that means. If you didn't, let me tell you, entire towns can be without power for weeks, not days. Weeks, Mississippi. Similar story to northern Louisiana. Tupelo, Starkville, Columbus, you are in that catastrophic ice zone. The National Weather Service is already talking about this being a historic ice event for North Mississippi. Jackson sees some ice, maybe 1/4 inch, but the farther north you go, the worse it gets. Grenada, Batesville, Holly Springs, prepare for the worst. Tennessee. This is complicated because Tennessee is getting hit with everything. Western Tennessee, Memphis area, you are looking at 3 inches of snow transitioning to heavy sleet and freezing rain. Nashville was supposed to get 8 inches of snow, but the latest models have shifted south, and now it's looking more like 4 to 5 inches with significant ice mixing in. Clarksville stays colder, maybe 7 to 8 inches of snow. Knoxville and Chattanooga, you are warm-nosed, meaning you will see mostly rain with some ice and snow mixing in. But East Tennessee valleys, you'll see some ice accumulation. Not catastrophic, but enough to cause problems. Kentucky. Louisville is in the sweet spot for heavy snow. 10 to 14 inches is likely. Lexington, Cincinnati area, you are looking at 12 to 16 inches. This is where we see the highest snow totals of the entire storm system. Bowling Green sees 8 to 9 inches. But here's the thing about Kentucky. The elevation changes matter. Higher elevations in eastern Kentucky could see 18 inches of snow. Lower elevations might see more ice mixing in. Missouri. St. Louis is looking at 7 to 9 inches of snow. Kansas City stays mostly west of the heaviest precipitation, maybe 3 to 4 inches. Springfield is in that transition zone, could see 6 inches of snow or could see a mix of snow, sleet, and ice. Columbia sees 8 inches. And southern Missouri, from Poplar Bluff through Cape Girardeau, you are looking at significant ice accumulation. 1/2 inch is possible. Kansas. Wichita sees moderate snow, maybe 6 to 7 inches. Kansas City, Kansas dodges the worst of it. Topeka sees 5 inches. But south-central Kansas, especially around Wichita Falls area, you are looking at heavier amounts. 8 to 10 inches is possible. The snow will be heavy and wet, the kind that brings down tree limbs even without ice. Ohio. Columbus could see 10 to 12 inches of snow. Cleveland stays north of the heaviest snow, maybe 6 to 8 inches. But Dayton, you are in that bullseye area. 12 to 15 inches is likely. Cincinnati, as I mentioned, 12 to 16 inches. And Wheeling, right on the Ohio-West Virginia border, you could see some of the highest totals of the entire event. 16 to 18 inches is possible. Indiana. Indianapolis was supposed to get 8 inches. Now models are showing 12 to 15. Evansville is in that magic zone where everything comes together. Could see 14 to 16 inches of snow. Fort Wayne sees 10 inches. And the entire southern half of Indiana is looking at significant snow accumulation. This will be one of the bigger snowstorms Indianapolis has seen in years. Illinois. Chicago stays mostly north and west of the heaviest precipitation. You'll see 3 to 5 inches, enough to cause problems, but not catastrophic. Springfield is right on the edge, could see 8 inches. But southern Illinois, from Carbondale through Marion, you're looking at snow transitioning to ice. This is where it gets dangerous in Illinois, Michigan. Detroit sees some snow, maybe 6 to 8 inches. Grand Rapids sees 8 to 10. But here's what is interesting about Michigan. You're far enough north that this stays all snow, no ice mixing in. It's going to be heavy, wet snow, but at least it's not ice. Upper Peninsula might see some enhanced snow from lake effect on the backside of the storm. Wisconsin. Milwaukee sees 4 to 6 inches. Madison sees 6 to 8. But this isn't your primary concern. What happens after the storm passes is what you need to worry about. The Arctic air flooding in behind this system is going to send wind chills to minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. That's dangerous cold, even for Wisconsin, Iowa. Des Moines is on the northwestern edge of the storm. You will see 4 to 5 inches of snow. Cedar Rapids sees 6 inches. Davenport, right on the Mississippi River, you are in a better position for heavier snow. 8 to 10 inches is possible. But like Wisconsin, your bigger concern is the brutal cold that follows, Minnesota. Minneapolis sees 3 to 4 inches. Not a major snow event for you, but the Arctic blast that follows is going to be severe. Wind chills could hit minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in northern Minnesota. This is life-threatening cold if you lose power. West Virginia. This is where it gets tricky. Western West Virginia, areas like Huntington and Charleston, you re-looking at 8 to 10 inches of snow with some ice possibly mixing in at lower elevations. But the higher elevations, places like Davis and Snowshoe, you could see 20 inches of snow. And here, that's the concerning part. Eastern West Virginia, the Panhandle area near Maryland, you are in a zone where cold air damming is going to set up. That means you could see significant ice accumulation even while areas just to your west are seeing all snow. Virginia. Northern Virginia is looking at heavy snow, 12 to 15 inches for the Washington, D.C. suburbs. Richmond is right on that rain-snow line. Could go either way. Right now it looks like you start with heavy snow, maybe 6 inches accumulates, then it transitions to sleet and freezing rain, then possibly back to snow. But southwestern Virginia, you are in that cold air damming zone. Roanoke, Lynchburg, Charlottesville, you could see significant ice. Half an inch or more is possible. North Carolina. This is another state that's getting hit with everything. Western North Carolina mountains see all snow. Boone, Asheville, you are looking at 10 to 14 inches. Charlotte is right on the line. Starts as snow, maybe 4 inches, then transitions to ice. But the Piedmont region, from Greensboro through Durham to Raleigh, you are in a dangerous setup. Cold air damming east of the mountains means you could see prolonged freezing rain. Half an inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice is possible. That's enough to cause widespread, long-duration power outages. South Carolina, upstate South Carolina, Greenville, and Spartanburg area, you are looking at snow transitioning to ice. Maybe 4 inches of snow, then significant ice accumulation. Columbia sees mostly cold rain with some ice possible. Charleston and the coast stay rain. But the I-85 corridor from Greenville to Charlotte, this is where emergency managers are most concerned. The ice accumulation forecast for this area is alarming, Georgia. North Georgia mountains see snow. Dahlonega, Helen, you could see 8 to 10 inches. Atlanta is borderline. Models are struggling with the exact temperature profile, but right now it looks like you see some snow, maybe 2 inches, then it transitions to ice, then rain. But northeast Georgia, especially in the valleys, you could see some ice accumulation. Not catastrophic like further north, but enough to cause problems. Maryland, Baltimore, and the I-95 corridor is looking at heavy snow. 15 to 17 inches is currently forecast. But like Virginia, this depends on exact track. A shift of 50 miles means the difference between 15 inches of snow and 8 inches of snow with ice mixing in. Western Maryland, Cumberland, and Garrett County, you are looking at 12 to 14 inches of all snow, Delaware. Wilmington is in that heavy snow zone. 12 to 15 inches likely. Dover sees 10 to 12. The entire state is looking at significant impacts from this storm. New Jersey. Northern New Jersey could see some of the highest snow totals of anywhere. Current forecasts show 19 to 20 inches possible in areas like Morristown and Newton. Trenton sees 15 to 17 inches. Atlantic City and the coast sees less, maybe 10 to 12, as some mixing with sleet is possible near the coast. Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is looking at 16 to 19 inches of snow. Pittsburgh stays mostly west of the heaviest precipitation, maybe 6 to 8 inches. But central Pennsylvania, from Harrisburg through State College to Scranton, you are in the heavy snow zone. Scranton could see 17 inches. Harrisburg sees 15. And here's what makes this dangerous in Pennsylvania. This is coming Sunday into Monday. Weekend storm. People are traveling. Roads are going to be a mess. New York. New York City is looking at 18 to 20 inches of snow according to the national blend of models. But some individual model runs are showing 24 inches. That would make this one of the biggest snowstorms New York has seen in the past decade. Albany sees 14 to 16 inches. Buffalo stays northwest of the heaviest snow, but sees 8 to 10 inches. Long Island sees 16 to 18 inches. And the Hudson Valley could see some of the highest totals in the state. 20 to 24 inches is possible from Poughkeepsie through Kingston, Connecticut. Hartford is looking at 20 inches of snow. New Haven sees 18 inches. The entire state is under the gun for significant snow. And here is what nobody is talking about yet. This is the kind of heavy, wet snow that brings down trees and power lines even without ice. Rhode Island. Providence could see 20 to 22 inches. This would be one of the more significant snowstorms Rhode Island has seen in years. Massachusetts. Boston's forecast is alarming. 22 inches of snow is the current call. Worcester could see 24 inches. Springfield, you're a bit farther west, maybe 16 to 18 inches. But eastern Massachusetts, from Boston through Cape Cod, this is going to be a major snowstorm. And with a coastal low intensifying as much as models are showing, you could even see thunder snow and near blizzard conditions. Vermont. Burlington sees 12 to 14 inches. Southern Vermont sees 16 to 18. The Green Mountains could see 20-plus inches in the highest elevations. New Hampshire. Manchester sees 18 to 20 inches. Concord sees similar amounts. The White Mountains see the highest totals in New England, potentially 24 to 30 inches in the highest peaks. Maine. Portland is looking at 16 to 18 inches. Bangor sees 14 to 16. And like New Hampshire, the mountains see enhanced totals. Northern Maine might see some of this transition to lake effect snow as the storm pulls away, adding even more accumulation. Now here is what you need to understand about these forecasts. They will change, not might change, will change. We're still 72 to 96 hours away from impact in the Northeast, but the overall pattern is locked in. A major winter storm is coming. The only questions are exact amounts and exact locations of the worst impacts. And remember that second punch I keep mentioning? Let me give you specific numbers on this Arctic outbreak because it's just as dangerous as the storm itself. After the storm passes, temperatures are going to crash. And I mean crash. St. Louis. High temperature on Tuesday, 15 degrees. Low temperature Tuesday night, -2. Wednesday stays below 20 degrees all day. Louisville. High on Tuesday, 12 degrees. Low Tuesday night, -5. These are dangerous temperatures, especially if you're without power from the ice storm. Cincinnati. Tuesday high of 10 degrees. Overnight low of -8. Wind chills Wednesday morning of -25. Columbus. Tuesday high of 8 degrees. Overnight low of -10. Indianapolis. Similar numbers. Single-digit highs below 0 lows. Wind chills approaching -30. And it's not just the Ohio Valley. This Arctic air spreads all the way to the East Coast. Washington, D.C. sees a high of 22 degrees on Tuesday. Overnight low of 9. New York City, high of 18, low of 6. Boston, high of 12, low of -1. These are the coldest temperatures these cities have seen in years. And it's happening right after a major winter storm that is likely to knock out power for hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people. Here is what emergency management officials are most concerned about. It's not just the storm. It's not just the cold. It is the combination. Ice brings down power lines. Snow accumulation on roofs causes collapses. Then temperatures drop to dangerous levels while people are without power and without heat. This is when tragedies happen. If you are in any of the ice zones I mentioned, especially that catastrophic ice zone from northeast Louisiana through North Mississippi, North Arkansas, and into West Tennessee, you need to prepare like you are going to be without power for a week. Not because you definitely will be, but because you might be. Fill bathtubs with water before the storm hits. You will need it for flushing toilets if you lose water pressure. Have enough non-perishable food for 7 days minimum. Fill your car with gas now because gas stations can pump gas without electricity. If you have a generator, test it now. Make sure you have enough fuel. And please, please understand proper generator safety. Every single winter storm, people die from carbon monoxide poisoning because they run generators indoors or in attached garages. Don't be one of them. If you have elderly neighbors, check on them. If you have family members who live alone, make sure they re-prepared. This is when communities come together. For those of you in the heavy snow zones, especially the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, your preparation is different but just as important. Have enough food to stay home for several days. Roads are going to be impassable Sunday night and Monday. Make sure you have a snow shovel and ice melt. And if you lose power, know where your nearest warming center is. But here's something most people don't think about. What happens after this storm? Because according to long-range forecast models, this isn't the only winter storm we're going to see in the next 2 weeks. The pattern that is setting up is what meteorologists call a persistent trough in the east. That means we stay cold. It means we stay active. And it means more winter storms are likely. I am already seeing signals in the models for another potential winter storm around February 1st or 2nd. It is too early to know details, but the pattern supports it. We could see multiple waves of winter weather over the next 10 to 14 days. The South, the Mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast all stay at risk. So this isn't just about preparing for one storm. This is about preparing for a pattern. A regime change in the weather that is going to keep the eastern 2/3 of the country locked in winter for potentially the rest of January and into early February. Let me be very clear about something. I am not trying to scare you. Fear doesn't help anyone prepare. What I am trying to do is give you accurate information so you can make informed decisions. Some of you need to change travel plans. Some of you need to stock up on supplies today, not tomorrow. Some of you need to have conversations with family members about what to do if the power goes out for an extended period. Knowledge is power. And right now you have knowledge that a lot of people don't have yet. Use it wisely. Now, before I wrap this up, I promised you a reward for sticking with me this far, and here it is. I'm going to tell you about a detail that no other forecast is mentioning, and it could change everything for certain cities. The coastal low pressure that forms off the mid-Atlantic coast Sunday night. If it tracks 40 to 50 miles farther east than currently forecast, Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston see less snow, maybe 12 to 15 inches instead of 20 plus. But if it tracks 40 to 50 miles farther west, those same cities could see 30 inches of snow. And we want to know which scenario plays out until Saturday at the earliest. This is why you need to keep watching for updates. This is why you can just check the forecast once and assume you know what's coming. Winter storms like this are incredibly complex. Small changes in track, timing, and temperature profiles make enormous differences in impacts. So here's what I need you to do. Drop your location in the comments right now if you haven't already. Tell me where you were watching from. I'll be monitoring this storm around the clock for the next 5 days, and I'll be putting out updates as conditions change. But I can give you more specific information if I know where you relocated. And hit that notification bell. I am serious about this. We're going to have multiple updates over the next several days as this storm evolves. You need to see those updates. Your safety might depend on it. One more thing. Share this with people you know in the affected areas, especially elderly family members or friends who might not be paying attention to weather forecasts. The more people who know what is coming, the more people who can prepare, the fewer tragedies we'll see. This storm is historic. This storm is dangerous. But this storm is also predictable, which means we can prepare for it. And that's exactly what we are going to do together over the next several days. The forecast just got worse, but now you know exactly what is coming. Now you know what to prepare for. And now you know that you are not facing this alone. We are all in this together, so let's help each other out. Drop your location below, tell your neighbors, check on the elderly, and let's get through this safely. More updates